Hey everyone, back with another Polars tutorial. Hope you're all doing real well. Today we're going to be talking about renaming variables by giving them prefixes and suffixes using the .name methods in Polars. And before we get into the syntax and just how it works and how we go about renaming variables using those expressions, let's just start with a theoretical problematic that we have. So let's say we have some data from 2024 and some data from 2025, and we want to join these two data sets using this ID column. Really, in this state, it's really a bad idea to be joining these because the variable names are the same. And so if we want to add columns to this data frame, if we want to add the 2025 versions of these variables alongside the 2024, it's not in a good state to do that yet. So what we'd want to do is just rename these. So we have, so each of these have a suffix on them. So this sports column right here would have a 2024 suffix, and the sports column in the 2025 data set would have a 2025 suffix. And having that, it would be in a better state to join. That way we would know what the result's going to be, and we wouldn't be relying on Polars to rename these for us. We know exactly what the name is going to be, and in latter processing steps that we have, or just subsequent code that we put over this, we know exactly what variables to reference. So how would we do this using the .name methods? It's actually quite easy in Polars. So the way the .name methods work is you use select, or with columns if you like, and then you'd select the columns that you'd want to keep the same. Here we want to keep ID the same, and then to use the suffix methods, we'd use PL call, and then the variables we want a suffix on, and then .name, so this means we're going to manipulate the name, and then .suffix, and then put in 2024. And so what that's going to do is it's going to rename all these columns and give an underscore 2024 to them. And we're going to do the same for the 2025 data, but we're going to give it all these variables a 2025 suffix. So we'll go ahead and take a look at these and prior to joining to just see how they work. Okay, so here's our updated 2024 variables and our updated 2025 variables, and we see they all have a year suffix, so we know exactly what year each of these variables are going to refer to once we join them. So we'll go ahead and do the join real quick and take a look at our full data. So if you're not familiar with joins and Polars, the main thing you just got to know is you start with the first data set that you want to join to, then you do .join, the data set that you want to join, and then the variable that you want to join on. So we're joining on ID. This is going to be an inner join, which means we only keep the variables with matching keys. But all these have matching keys because it's hypothetical data, and I made sure it's very neat and tidy. Okay, so there's our join data. We see that we were able to safely join these data by doing quick renames with the .name methods. So next I'll go over prefixes. And one issue I always have is I like to keep the original versions of the variables before I undergo like a really complex transformation for a variable. And so what I usually do in that instance is I create an O underscore prefix for these variables, just so I have the original versions of the variables, and so I can compare the variable before and after it underwent the transformation. So let's say we want to create a group of variables. We want all these variables that we have in here to have an O underscore in front of them. And so the way we do that is, you could probably guess, we can just do with columns. That means we're going to add columns to our data frame. And we can just select pl.all, and so that means select all of the columns, and then .name, so that means we're going to manipulate the name of these variables, all of these variables. And then we can do .prefix and put an O in front of them. So what that's going to do is it's going to create a second set of all the variables with an O prefix in front of them. So that's a very powerful tool. Did I get rid of that exit up there? Yeah, I did. Okay, so we see our 2024 data set here, and so here's the original variables, and here are the O underscore variables, so the original versions of the variables. And so what I would do here is I would proceed to manipulate these. And then once I was finished with those transformations, I'd be able to compare them back to the original versions of the variables, which I wouldn't touch during the transformation. Okay, guys, so that's all there is to manipulating the names of variables using the .name methods in polars. I didn't go over all of them. I only went over the prefix and the suffix methods. There are a lot more name methods, or not a lot more, but there are a few more name methods in polars. I showed you the two that I find myself using the most, but there certainly are a few others that might be useful. I think the 2 lowercase and 2 uppercase options are kind of interesting, and so definitely check out the documentation if you want to learn more. But that's all for today, and thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a good rest of your day.